Hi guys, it's Matthew here. Welcome back to another video on my channel today. And in today's video, guys, another month has passed. So that means that it's time for me, to give you guys my thoughts on what I watched that came out in the month of September, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I do. For those of you that are new to the channel, if you are curious on why I do a video like this at the beginning of every single month, is because I don't have time to do individual movie reviews all the time. So what I do is that I gather like all the brand new releases that came out this month that I have watched, and then I give a quick review um about each movie compiled into one video. And to be honest, that actually makes it easier for me. So yeah, guys, that is gonna do it for the intro. And with all that out of the way, be sure you hit that like button as well as that red subscribe button, but most importantly, make sure you press that notification bell so you don't miss anything in the future. And those of you guys that are new to the channel, I do more than just movies and TV. I also do like related stuff. I play video games and I do haul and unboxing videos. I do all sorts of stuff like that here on the channel. So if you guys like to watch anything like that on YouTube and want to share your support, be sure you go check out my channel because there will definitely be something in there for you to enjoy. But with all that being said though, guys, enjoy the video. Let's get started. Okay, so before we get started though, I actually did not get around to seeing him, the new horror film produced by Jordan Peele. And I also did not see One Battle After Another yet, so I didn't get around to seeing those two movies, but I hope to see them next month, and I'll give you guys my review on those in the next video, as a matter of fact. So why don't we start off with what I watched on streaming? And there's 3 movies that I watched on streaming. One that came out this month and 2 that came out previously this year, because I'm not going to have a whole lot to say about what I watched. Okay, so the first movie I watched on streaming this month was The Thursday Murder Club. So I don't know how many of you guys have heard of this movie, but this is a murder mystery starring Helen Mirren, Ben Kingsley, and Pierce Brosnan as well. So all 3 of these people are retired, and this is a murder mystery. So this is a whodunit thing, like Clue the movie and Knives Out, and they all work in a murder club together, and they try to figure out who solved the crime. And there's a lot of in and outs to this movie, but eventually all that what happens in this movie connects together, and it's really mind-blowing at the end. So yeah, this is a great murder mystery. Like, if you guys like whodunit type movies and murder mysteries, I would recommend you watch this movie, because it is pretty good, as a matter of fact. But the next 2 movies I watched on streaming, I am not going to have a whole lot to say about these next 2 movies. But the next movie I watched on streaming was Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Did I like this movie? I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, and you might be a little surprised when it comes to me, but I did not care for this movie at all. Because for those of you guys that have been following me for a while, I actually enjoyed the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movies. And honestly, I did not think those movies were great or groundbreaking or amazing or anything like that. But but I got a lot of guilty pleasure out of the two of them. Like those are movies that I could watch and have a laugh with. This movie, on the other hand, I did not have that experience with. Like, I'm all like, really? This is what they decided to do for the next Twisted Childhood Universe movie that wasn't a Winnie the Pooh horror film? And and I'm all like, yeah, they could have done so much more with this movie. Like, I was actually expecting this movie to take place in Neverland, and Neverland would be like some kind of nightmare. Like, some kids would, like, some people or something would get like dragged to Neverland, and then this just becomes their nightmare because it's real and it's happening. And but it didn't. It follows Peter Pan, and he's just this lost guy that does like horrible things and just kidnaps Wendy's brother John, and then she has to go and rescue him, and then he terrifies. I don't even know how to explain it, but I'm gonna put it straight and say this movie does not take place on Neverland, and that is what this movie should have done, in my opinion. And to be honest, I haven't watched the next movie that was released, which was Bambi the Reckoning. I have not watched that movie yet, but I'm hoping that that one and Pinocchio Unstrung are better than this movie, because honestly, I did not care for this movie at all. And yeah, this and I had high expectations for this movie to be a guilty pleasure, and for it to be a recreation of the Peter Pan story, but with like a horror skin wrapped around it. And that's what Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was like, in my opinion. Like, they took the original story from Disney, and then they like put a horror skin around it to make it a horror movie. That's what it felt like. And I wanted that to be like the Peter Pan horror movie, but it just did not do that for me. But the third and final movie I watched on streaming, I watched Screamboat. So now, this movie is not part of the Twisted Childhood universe, just so you know. But yes, this is the Mickey Mouse horror movie that is a spoof off of Screamboat. Not Screamboat, Steamboat. This is a spoof off of the original Mickey Mouse character, Screamboat Willie. And the other Mickey Mouse horror movie that came out last year, The Mousetrap, that movie was horrible. Like, that was worse than Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. Like, I would even watch the Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare again over that one. But did I think this movie was better than Peter Pan's Neverland A Nightmare? And I'm gonna say yes. But I did not think that this movie was as good as Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. Like, I didn't get like as much guilty pleasure out of this movie like I did with Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, but I got some laughs out of this movie. Like I actually laughed a couple of times based on like how silly the effects were, and how horrible this movie was made. Like I got a couple of laughs out of this movie, but for me it was nowhere near the quality as Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. Yeah, I would say I don't care for this movie, but on the other end, I got a couple of laughs about out of it, so I can't really say it's an outright bad movie. Just FYI. But now, getting into what I went and saw in the theater this month, I was only able to make 3 movies in the theater this month because, like I said, I didn't get to watching him or One Battle After Another. But the first big major release this year, I went and saw The Conjuring Last Rites, and I loved this movie. This is probably one of the best horror movies of the year so far. And The Conjuring is arguably one of my favorite horror franchises. And out of every movie in the Conjuring universe, I said that this one was my favorite out of all 10 of these movies. And yeah, I even put this one at number 1 in my ranking of the Conjuring universe because this movie right here was the best out of all 10 movies in the Conjuring universe, in my opinion. And the reason why I enjoyed this movie so much is because it has emotional connection. Like here's what happens. Like, you have the Warrens, on one side of the story, just catching up where they're at nowadays, and then you have the family with the haunted house, and the Warrens don't help them until like halfway through the movie, and so you have like these 2 separate groups of people that you had just have like 2 big side stories, but then eventually they converge and into one movie. And then also another thing that this movie does well is that their daughter Judy is actually getting married to this boy named Tony, and they're in a good relationship. He becomes in a good relationship with Ed Warren, and then this whole family, on the other hand, they have 4 daughters, and that takes me back to the first couple in the first Conjuring movie, and that couple ended up having 5 daughters. So around the same amount. It takes me back to the family from the first Conjuring movie, and just all these character arcs that are like build up to, and these characters that we have followed throughout the first 3 movies. At this point, you have all these stories, all of these committed relationships that I just feel so emotionally attached to, and this feels like the one big time you want to root for every one of these characters. And that is why this was my favorite movie this one was my favorite out of all of them, because I enjoyed everything that was put into this movie, and it was pretty darn great. And if you guys have not seen it yet, you need to see it because it is pretty great. But the second to last movie for this video that we have to talk about is The Long Walk. So for those of you guys that don't know what The Long Walk is, this is based on this is another Stephen King adaptation, and it's about this group of young soldiers that take a long walk, and they have to walk or die. So they get 3 warnings before they start walking again, and they have 10 seconds to walk again. Otherwise, they will die. So yeah, this movie is pretty dark and disturbing, especially if you're somebody that doesn't like these kinds of movies. But personally, I went and saw this movie, and I actually thought it was better than The Monkey. And to be honest, I didn't care for The Monkey. But this movie, I actually had a good time with, and I actually thought that this was a very clever and a unique story to tell to go about a horror movie. And Mark Hamill plays the bad guy in this movie. He plays the general, and he's very ruthless in this movie, and I love his performance as the bad guy. And yes, this is a good movie. It's not great, but it's good though. And I feel like this movie, for those of you guys that like these kinds of movies, you would enjoy this movie. But the second, not the second, the last movie for this video that I have to talk about is The Strangers Chapter 2. So now, I feel like I'm not going to be able to talk about this movie without creating controversy. So far, I'm enjoying this trilogy for The Strangers. I'm enjoying this whole prequel trilogy for The Strangers. Like, I know a lot of people did not like The Strangers Chapter 1. Personally, I enjoyed that movie, and I enjoyed this one as well. And in my personal opinion, The Strangers Chapter 2 is arguably the best movie out of all four of the Strangers movies so far. And with the first one, I also enjoy the original Strangers. The sequel, The Strangers Prey at Night, I also enjoyed that movie, but I did not like that they killed all three of the killers off, because it just felt like after they were done with this trilogy, they could have easily squeezed in a sequel to Prey at Night. But they can't, because they killed all three of the killers. So I don't know what is there to tell. But I actually ranked all four of these movies, and I'll tell you how I feel. So with The Strangers Chapter 1, I actually thought that was a better, well-crafted movie than the original Strangers. Because, like I said, I enjoy the original Strangers, but there was some parts that I thought were slow. But with Strangers Chapter 1, they retreaded that story, and then it retreaded the story, but they did it better. And I said this before. People have said, what would the original Strangers movie look like if it was worse? And I actually explained this. The way that I see it is that wasn't their whole intent. And how I see it was The Strangers Chapter 1, they retreaded the story because it was to say, okay, so here are the strangers before the first movie, and this is the couple that they're terrorizing. This is the first couple that they targeted ever since they came about. But then carrying in to The Strangers Chapter 2, this is when you get like more of their actual backstory. So far, we don't have like their whole backstory. We have at least part of their backstory so far. We're likely, when we get Chapter 3, we are likely gonna see how it all ties in to the first movie. And I like it when there's an explanation behind a serial killer. Like I like it when there's an explanation behind a serial killer And I know that's the whole point of the first movie. They don't know why they're asking if is Tamra here, and they don't know why they're targeting that couple. They're just crazy psychos that show no remorse. But in my opinion, I'm enjoying this trilogy so far. But it's just sad that I'm in the minority here, because I'm enjoying this trilogy so far, and I think people need to praise it more. But that's just my opinion. But without any further ado, guys, that is pretty much all I have for you today in this video. As a matter of fact, be sure you hit that like button as well as that red subscribe button. But most importantly, make sure you press that notification bell so you don't miss anything in the future. And those of you guys that are new to the channel, and without any further ado, guys, I'm going to go get bringing back to more videos, because more videos are on the way sooner rather than later, as a matter of fact. But with all that being said, though, guys, take care, drink water, and stay safe, and I will see you all in the very next video. Bye!